The US and China have a long and complicated trade relationship. This relationship has evolved over the years, shaped by various economic, political, and social factors. From the early days of limited trade to the current era of globalization, the dynamics between these two economic giants have always been significant. For decades, the US has been a major market for Chinese goods. American consumers have enjoyed a wide array of affordable products, from electronics to clothing, largely due to China's manufacturing capabilities. This influx of Chinese goods has transformed the American retail landscape, making everyday items more accessible to the average consumer. China has benefited from this trade, experiencing significant economic growth. The rapid industrialization and urbanization in China have been fueled by its export-driven economy. Cities like Shanghai and Shenzhen have become global economic hubs, showcasing China's rise as a major player on the world stage. The prosperity brought by trade has lifted millions out of poverty and created a burgeoning middle class. However, this relationship has also been marked by tension. Economic interdependence has not come without its challenges. Trade imbalances, where the US imports far more from China than it exports, have been a point of contention. Additionally, political and ideological differences have often spilled over into economic disputes, creating a complex and sometimes adversarial relationship. The US has accused China of unfair trade practices, such as intellectual property theft and currency manipulation. American businesses have long complained about the theft of trade secrets and the production of counterfeit goods. Moreover, China's control over its currency has been seen as a way to gain an unfair advantage in international trade, making Chinese products cheaper on the global market. These tensions came to a head during the Trump administration, which imposed tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. The trade war that ensued saw both countries slapping tariffs on each other's products, leading to increased costs for businesses and consumers. The goal was to reduce the trade deficit and protect American industries, but it also led to significant economic uncertainty. The Biden administration has continued many of these policies. While there have been efforts to engage in dialogue and find common ground, the fundamental issues remain unresolved. The focus has shifted towards building alliances with other countries to counterbalance China's influence and to promote fair trade practices on a global scale. The goal is to protect American jobs and businesses. The decline of manufacturing in the US has been a major concern, with many factories closing down and jobs being outsourced. By implementing tariffs and other trade measures, the US government aims to revitalize domestic industries and create a more level playing field for American workers. The US also wants to pressure China to change its economic practices. This includes addressing issues like market access, subsidies to state-owned enterprises, and human rights concerns. The ongoing negotiations and diplomatic efforts reflect the complexity of the US-China trade relationship, which continues to evolve in response to global economic shifts and geopolitical developments. The US government argues that further tightening trade restrictions is necessary for national security. They believe that by imposing stricter measures, they can better protect the country from potential threats that may arise from foreign entities. This is seen as a proactive approach to safeguarding the nation's interests. They point to China's growing military power and its assertive actions in the South China Sea. The increasing presence of Chinese naval vessels in this strategic region has raised alarms in Washington. The US views these actions as a direct challenge to international norms and a potential threat to the stability of the region. By highlighting these concerns, the US aims to justify its stance on tightening trade restrictions. The US is also concerned about China's human rights record, particularly its treatment of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang province. Reports of mass detentions, forced labor, and other human rights abuses have drawn international condemnation. The US government argues that by taking a firm stance against China, they are standing up for human rights and sending a message that such actions will not be tolerated. This aspect of their justification is rooted in a broader commitment to promoting human rights globally. Another major concern is technological competition. The rapid advancements in technology have made it a critical area of focus for both nations. The US is particularly wary of China's ambitions to become a global leader in various high-tech industries. They believe that maintaining a competitive edge in technology is essential for national security and economic prosperity. The US wants to maintain its technological edge over China. This involves not only fostering innovation within its own borders, but also protecting its technological advancements from being exploited by foreign competitors. The government argues that by implementing stricter trade policies, they can better safeguard their technological assets and ensure that the US remains at the forefront of global innovation. They fear that China is using unfair means to acquire US technology, such as forced technology transfer. This practice involves requiring foreign companies to share their technology with Chinese partners as a condition for market access. The US views this as a significant threat to its technological leadership and economic security. By addressing these concerns through trade restrictions, the US aims to protect its intellectual property and ensure fair competition in the global market. The US also wants to prevent China from dominating key industries of the future, such as artificial intelligence and 5G. These technologies are expected to play a crucial role in shaping the future of the global economy and national security. The US government believes that allowing China to gain a dominant position in these areas could have far-reaching implications. By taking a firm stance now, they hope to secure a competitive advantage and ensure that the US remains a leader in these critical industries. The latest round of US trade restrictions targets key sectors of the Chinese economy. These include semiconductors, advanced computing, and artificial intelligence. These industries are crucial for China's continued economic growth and technological development. The restrictions make it difficult for Chinese companies to obtain the necessary components and technologies. This is already having a significant impact on these industries. For example, Huawei, a Chinese telecommunications giant, has been hit hard by US sanctions. The company has been forced to sell off some of its businesses and has seen its revenue plummet. The trade ban is expected to have a significant impact on the Chinese economy. This move comes at a time when China is already grappling with multiple economic issues that have been brewing for years. The trade ban could potentially disrupt the intricate web of international trade that China has built over the decades. China is already facing a number of economic challenges, including a slowing economy, rising debt levels, and a property market bubble that has been a cause for concern among economists and policymakers alike. The slowing economy has led to reduced consumer spending and lower industrial output, which in turn affects the overall economic growth. The property market bubble is particularly worrisome. Over the past decade, rapid urbanization and speculative investments have led to skyrocketing property prices. Many construction projects remain unfinished, and the real estate sector is teetering on the edge of a crisis. This bubble, if it bursts, could have far-reaching consequences not just for China but for the global economy. The trade ban will exacerbate these problems. Manufacturing sectors that rely heavily on exports will face significant challenges, leading to potential job losses and factory closures. This could result in a ripple effect, impacting various other sectors of the economy. The Chinese government has taken steps to mitigate the impact of the trade ban, such as providing subsidies to affected companies and boosting domestic demand. These measures are aimed at cushioning the blow and ensuring that the economy remains stable. The government is also encouraging innovation and technological advancements to reduce dependency on foreign imports. However, it is unclear whether these measures will be enough to offset the negative effects of the ban. The uncertainty surrounding the effectiveness of these policies adds another layer of complexity to an already challenging situation. Businesses and investors are adopting a wait-and-see approach, which could further slow down economic activities. Some economists predict that the trade ban could shave a full percentage point off of China's GDP growth. This would be a significant blow, considering that China's GDP growth has already been slowing down in recent years. The long-term impact of the trade ban remains to be seen, but it is clear that China will need to navigate these turbulent waters carefully to maintain its economic stability. Section 5. A world intertwined global market reactions. The trade war between the US and China is having ripple effects throughout the global economy. Many countries rely on trade with both the US and China. The trade war is disrupting supply chains and creating uncertainty in the global market. The trade war has also contributed to rising inflation worldwide. The tariffs imposed by the US and China have increased the cost of goods, which is being passed on to consumers. This is putting a strain on households and businesses around the world. Section 6. China bites back. Retaliation and countermeasures. China has not taken the US trade restrictions lying down. They have retaliated with tariffs of their own on US goods. These tariffs have hurt American businesses and farmers, particularly those exporting soybeans, pork, and other agricultural products. Beyond tariffs, China is also looking to reduce its dependence on U.S. technology. The Chinese government is investing heavily in research and development. They want to create their own domestic champions in key industries. This strategy aims to make China more self-sufficient in the long run. Section 7. Beyond the bottom line, broader implications of the trade war. The trade war is about more than just economics. It is a reflection of the growing rivalry between the US and China. The two countries are vying for global influence and power. The trade war is also undermining the rules-based international trading system. The US and China are increasingly resorting to unilateral action and protectionist measures. This is setting a dangerous precedent for other countries. It could lead to a fragmentation of the global economy. Section 8. Can we talk? Finding common ground in future negotiations. Despite the current tensions, there is still hope for a resolution to the trade war. Both the US and China have an interest in finding a solution. The trade war is hurting both economies. It is also creating uncertainty and instability in the global economy. There have been some attempts at negotiation, however, progress has been slow. The two sides remain far apart on key issues, such as intellectual property theft and market access. Any future agreement will require significant concessions from both sides. Section 9. A world divided. The long view on US-China trade. The US-China trade relationship is likely to remain complex and challenging in the years to come. The two countries have fundamentally different economic systems and values. They are also engaged in a strategic competition for global influence. The trade war has exposed the deep divisions between the US and China. It has also highlighted the need for both countries to adapt to a changing global landscape. The future of the global economy may depend on whether the US and China can find a way to coexist and cooperate despite their differences.